Hi everyone, I'm Emily Madonia and I'm going to be giving a presentation on Dorothy Asnar for my Wayward America's project online research presentation. So to begin, Dorothy was born on January 3rd, 1897 in San Francisco, California. She studied medicine at the University of Southern California and then she dropped out a few years later. She grew up where her family owned a Hollywood restaurant, and it was frequently toured by actors and directors. And after she dropped out of after she dropped out of the University of Southern California, she realized that the medical profession was not for her. And when she dropped out, she was hired as a typist for Famous Players, which is later known as Paramount Pictures in America. When she became a typist, she also made her way up the ladder to cutting and editing films as a reader and screenwriter as well. By 1923, she had edited 52 films as chief editor for Real Art Studio, which is a part of what would be today Paramount Films. That year that she edited in 52 films, she was also impressed by Paramount executives with her innovative editing, and she was just really good at editing. In the mid-1920s, she worked as an editor and screenwriter for James Cruise in both of his roles, and she bargained with Paramount for a chance to direct her first picture, Fashion for Women, in 1927. Fashion for Women became one of her most influential and impactful films for Dorothy. The movie is about love, courtship, and marriage. It is a silent-to-sound movie transitions. The movie is all about, and it demonstrates how much women can do in this world and the importance of women during a time period where women were not given much to do at all. The 1920s was the roaring 20s in America, where the stock market was booming, the trades, everybody was buying and selling, everybody was wearing nice jewelry and fashion. And the 1920s, the 1927 specifically, was the time right before the 1930s, which was the Great Depression. This time, women people did not view women equally to men. Women had different abilities, people thought, and had different purposes in life than men did. For example, being at home and raising children and taking care of the household while men went out to work. Dorothy, although she created this Fashion for Women film, and it was the first film she ever directed on her own, it further demonstrates how women are more important to America and deserve to have more rights and more legal rights that are equal to men. It just shows that women did deserve these rights. And when she created this film, it was one of the first women directors to work within the Hollywood studio system at the time. So Dorothy was working in a male-dominated industry, and she stood out and she created a path for all other women to follow. She attracted feminist attention, which further led the movement of the women's rights movement that would go all throughout the 20th century as well. Her two other famous movies of hers are The 10 Modern Commandments, also in 1927, and Get Your Man in 1927 as well, which further goes to show the importance of women. And both of them were silent comedies, dramas, and romantic films as well. So in the 1930s, after she went out there with the women's fashion, in the 1930s, she began by creating this film, Sarah and Son. And it was a drama that featured Ruth Chatterton as a young wife who was abandoned by her abusive husband after he sells their young son to a wealthy couple. She goes on to become an opera star, and she reclaims her child. This movie, once again, goes to show women can do anything and can get away from people who are being abused by their husbands and can overcome anything they set their mind to, which is something that I find very admirable in all of Dorothy's movies that she has directed and helped contribute to as well. She also followed up this movie by Anybody's Woman, which was another part of Paramount, which featured a secretary who was in love with her boss but marries a stockbroker in a weak moment and nearly pays for the mistake with her life. Once again, all of Asnar's movies and films that she's directed go towards the feminist body and the feminist plate trip as well. So why is Dorothy important, and what were some of her later life contributions to society and American filmmaking? So to begin, as I've said many times throughout this, she helped push women forward. She created a path for all women to thrive and to achieve anything that they set their minds to. If women want to create and direct movies or film right, they can, or she demonstrated this through her ability to do so and to the movies she helped create and film as well. She also, after she retired from filmmaking and directing herself, she directed and trained films for the Women's Army Corps during World War II, once again showing her feminist attraction side. And in the 1950s, she directed more than 50 Pepsi Coca-Cola commercials for her friend. So even though she wasn't doing what people might say important work with the Pepsi Coca-Cola, it was still something that she enjoyed and she still contributed to. She also taught a film course at the University of California in Los Angeles for 4 years during the 1960s, which helped empower women further and helped make this industry not just male-dominated, and she taught people more and everything that she learned from. And then in 1975, she was honored by the Directors Guild of America for her contributions to all the filmmaking and American Screen Director